rockin', baby. We're back. We're back at it yet again. And there's been a lot of good conversations in this chat as I was reading. Well, yes, indeed, taking a dump. Many people speculating on my use of a bidet. And of course, I live in Europe. So yes, we have bidets here. It's maybe the one thing that Europe has over the Americans. And even then, you can just get one over there. I see a lot of familiar faces in the chat. I see a lot of good conversations going on as well. Shroomba NFT, Nikki Page, good morning to you. Matthew Smead, Wapiti, Mr. Van Duysen, a new name actually, but also very, 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 very consistent in here as well, which we love. Matthew Smead as well, Cheap Vlog, our Estonian brother, and Bitcoin Quick and Dirty. I like the sounds of that. And we even got some shit talkers as well, Mr. Frog Fuckface. Anyways, you're allowed to talk shit. Everyone's allowed to talk shit. However, it is always funny to review some things, which maybe we'll do at some point for the day. What's up, fucking buy the dip? GM, sir. Fucking buy the dip's probably been, I guess, the best strategy, especially since about April. But other than that, what else can we say? Sell, says Trick Shots. Is it a good time to sell? I don't know. If you're trading short term, I mean, well, a little bit of a pullback here. Yeah, things can pull back quite a bit more, of course, as well. But the problem for the bears is that you got uptrends on all time frames, and you got a big fucking buffer zone as well. So yes, indeed. Anyways, if Bitcoin were to reverse here, I mean, shit, you'd have to come back down at least below $100,000 before that becomes like a real legitimate concern. I mean, shit, even the 4-hour time frame price action pivot is all the way at $104,000 US. I do think that you could probably move this up, honestly, to what was this Wednesday's low, right around 106. But it will take some time. Yes, indeed. Bears are unbelievably GAE. Fucking hell, man. What Pity says, shout out to me. Hell yeah, man. I super chatted a bull flag on Shiba like three years ago. Well, I'm actually curious. How has that worked out? I think SHIB is one of the, it's been one of the shitcoins that's actually been like not dying from cycle to cycle. Is that right? Or is my memory not serving me correctly? Well, it hasn't necessarily died from cycle to cycle, but it also hasn't really done anything from cycle to cycle as well. So it's not in like the terrible, awful, just send it to the fucking desert type shitcoin. But, well, I don't know. Could this be your next major high or low? It actually looks like it actually looks like it will be. So maybe not bad, especially compared to most shitcoins. I mean, this one is a meme coin after all, so I would have expected much worse, and it's not, to be fair. Surprising, very surprising indeed. Danny Boy says, dry paper is disgusting. It's just rubbing crap into your cheeks. Exactly, man. Like, look, I'll give you this situation as to why everyone should employ a bidet, and then probably even have some sort of disinfectant on that bidet, is that, look, if by some act of God you got some shit stains on your forehead, would you just take a piece of paper and wipe it off and be like, all good? Like, let's just go about my day now. No problem. It's all good. I'm gonna write down some of these super chats over here, by the way, just because I should let you know Elsa is not in the building for right now. She's actually at the gym, so I am down one man or one woman, but I will write some of these down just so we can get to them a little bit later. But do forgive me if I do miss some things here and there, because, well, I'm sure that it will happen whenever I don't have my sweet Elsa. Unfortunately, things do get lost in the old comments there. I'm waiting for 10K Bitcoins to Smith grind. Well, I mean, nothing's impossible, right? But I don't know if it's my first target to the downside. Fair enough. Mine has a heated seat heater. The water dries your beehole and double as a water fountain. Oh, that's amazing, man. That's actually what I thought the bidets were when I first came to Europe, and I didn't really know what a bidet. I'd never seen one before. Like, no one ever told me about these things. And I see this like thing that shoots out water next to the toilet in the bathroom. Like, okay, so do I just drink water while I'm like on the toilet doing my business? I guess that's convenient, but it didn't really work out that way. Anyways, that was my introduction to the whole damn Europe continent. How well does the bidet work when you have a sticky pastry, says Fringe Recall. Well, I don't eat any of that bullshit, so I actually don't know, but I can just tell you that from my food allergies, it won't be good. It really won't be good. Holy shit, those super chats are coming in right now. I'll try to write these down as they come in, but as always, I cannot do two things at once. I'm actually probably in some ways legitimately retarded, but we shall see. All right. Hello, good sir. Could you please take a look at useless? Yes. The useless token. I'm aware of this one. In fact, I think I've seen that chart many times. And, so, for Toba, we got Sol BTC. I'm just writing these down for later, guys. We won't go into them just yet. Although I do, I really do want to check out some shitcoins today, just because, if Bitcoin is going to take a little bit of a pullback here, what I'm interested to see is, do altcoins actually catch up if Bitcoin pulls back in the short term, or do altcoins fall with Bitcoin? Because that'll be very, 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 very telling. We've only really seen that happen in one market cycle where Bitcoin would kind of make its major move, pull back, consolidate, and during that consolidation, altcoins would just go fucking lunar. And that was in the last tail end portion of the 2017 cycle. So if we do see something like that, I mean, again, it does make me more convicted in my belief that, we're in tail end of bull market cycle here. But in the tail end, it's when you get the absolutely craziest moves possible. So yeah, anyways, Mr. Peter Underwood, I hope you're enjoying your very expensive coins. Yes, indeed. Good morning, man. Hello, my filthy goblin, says Peter Underwood. Gotta fucking love this guy, man. He is one of the heroes of Discord, along with Bear Nutrition, and then actually Pesto as well has been absolutely phenomenal there too. It's really, really good to see people get into the Discord and get involved and everything like that. Of course, we also have the pit, which is a free fall, just whatever the fuck goes over there. Which people are some people are not born for the pit. Some people are certainly born for the pit, but it takes a very special kind of individual to be able to withstand the. I don't know, what would you even call it for the people who are in there? What would you even call it? It is, it's a different kind of place. I love the place, but it can get a little bit crazy, man. It can get a little bit crazy. Anyway, Stacey Lewis, hello there as well. Lama Chilla Azul says Pesto is a fucking man. Yeah, he is. He really is, man. This guy is actually he's really taken a great role in the Discord recently. Glad to see him in there, man. I'm really happy when that sort of stuff goes on. Elliot Palciano says, guys, why is it dumping right now? Yes, Bitcoin has dumped almost $2,000 from the highs. That's the thing. Like with Bitcoin at these massive numbers, a $2,000 move doesn't really do anything for you. Yes, it could pull all the way back down to 109. And I mean, even the 4 hour, like I said, is still in an uptrend. I think the point at which it starts to come into question would be below, again, Wednesday's low, even for the short term. And then if you want to go by the book, of course, you'd be looking at the daily, and the daily is going to be pivoted even lower than that, just below 101, actually, not 100, but just below 101. So, Bitcoin can afford a pullback here on the short-term timeframes and still remain with its uptrends. So, it just becomes more and more difficult to get bearish when things get this far away, because there's just so much of a buffer. And, you could see an extension of another multi-$1,000 move from here. It doesn't really change anything. So, yeah. Anyways, are we Balkan dwarf billionaires yet? I'm actually curious what the hell has happened to this chart. We called a high on this one, I don't know, half a year ago. And it has remained. Wait, no, hold on. Oh yeah, that is looking like its all-time high, probably for life. But with the rest of the market, it is actually rallying here, as are most things. So we are getting a full market rally. Again, that does make me think that we're in late stage bull market here, whether it's another 2 months to 4 months away, who the hell knows? But a lot of damage can be done in that time. And almost everything is going to get, at least pity rallies to their 200 simple, which for something like this is actually decently higher than where it's at right now. Most of the, not as shitty shit coins are actually already there, or maybe even slightly above there. Actually, that would be a good thing for me to kind of just peruse through first before we get into the Bitcoins analysis. But I want to quickly look at Solana, Soderpa, and yeah, you can see it's struggling right around that 200 simple as well. Almost everything's there right now, I do believe. Sui's probably above because it's one of the stronger ones. But selling off yesterday, I think there was some sort of a hack or something like this. I don't know. Saw it on Twitter, which famous last words, right? Anyways, moving on from there, I want to see what XRP is doing. XRP also above the 200 simple, so a little bit more strong than most other things. What else do we have? I feel like I'm missing. Oh yeah, where's Ethereum? I believe Ethereum's actually below, kind of in a similar position as Solana. Yeah, that's kind of where I expect the majority of this market to be right now. But do they break above? Yeah, I do think that it's more or less a foregone conclusion at this point. The question is more or less when, not if. So we shall see. Chainlink for fucking buy the dip. Let's actually, let's take a quick look at that one, just because it has been a darling of past market cycles, but not so much in the more recent times. But you know what? It does have that monthly higher low. We spoke about this over the past month, that this one is switching into, a nice little upturn right here. 200 simple for this one's about $18. I do think you're going to get a nice move somewhere around there in the next week or so. And it probably does break out as well, to be fair. I mean, the monthly does have a higher low, so I do put a lot of weight on that. I do think that this one will reach back up towards that January high. And then the real question is, can it actually exceed it? Because if and when that happens, then you got like a real move here towards, basically the prior all-time high is $50. And does it just break out from there? Possible. Like I said, we're kind of in at least what I consider the twilight zone of this market, or of this market cycle. How much longer again can it go on for? I still think around 2 to maybe 5 months, something like this would make a lot of sense. But we shall see. Yeah, Nikki Page has confirmed the Sui Dex was hacked yesterday. So yeah, fair enough. So it wasn't actually Sui itself, but it was some sort of decentralized exchange attached to Sui. But at the end of the day, Sui did sell off on that. So fair enough. Ultimately, I don't think that's really going to change all that much, but it does put a damper on the current rally, of course. But, Sui has been one of the better actors, or in fact, it's been perhaps the best actor out of certainly the majors for this cycle. So, I wouldn't really fade it, as long as it's especially holding that daily uptrend, which if I could go back to the damn chart, we could actually look exactly where that would be. And that's a monthly. So maybe we go a little bit further south, write down those damn super chats as well. But yeah, that would be about 360 or so. So still got higher lows as long as you're above there. Holy shit, man. These things are fucking coming in right now. Like I said, I don't have Elsa with me today, so it is inevitable that I will be missing some of these super chats, but I'll try to write down the ones that I do see out of the side of my eye here. We got PP for GTX, and then fucking buy the dip. I just write his name as fucking buy. Oh, all good, man. Okay, all good. It's actually not even a request, but feel free to have another message, man. Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised that they let you have that name on YouTube. Like, I guess maybe because it's just 3 words or 4 words together that it doesn't tick their auto mod. But I guess YouTube's not the best at dealing with that shit anyways, right? Because we've seen the same fucking scam bots on YouTube since my channel basically began in 2018 for fucking 7 years, over 7 years straight now. It would seem like it would be an easy fix to me, but hey, I'm not a coder. But that problem persists no matter what. And people always ask, not people always ask, but some people ask or logically wonder, hey, why don't you get rid of all these scam bot comments? And I'll tell you exactly why. We have in the past actually gone through the very arduous process of manually deleting and then banning those people from the channel, even banning the words that they were, typically saying. And they would just come back the next day with a new name and a new scam token. And it was like, look, we can't be fucking doing this for 200, 300 names per day, because it takes literally hours, and it takes them, I imagine, seconds just to press a button and, have the bot army once again ascend on all crypto channels. The scams are inside jobs, surely. If you mean from YouTube, I guess. I guess it kind of raises their numbers for users, maybe. But even then, I think it pisses people off so much that it would probably be a net negative. So I just don't understand why YouTube would allow it to continue. I'm sure that they have the resources to stop something like that. Like I said, I'm not a coder, so I don't actually know, but I would assume it's not that big of an issue, honestly. Anyways, oh Jesus, okay, more coming through. All right, let me just. Oh, Jesus, I'm going to spend all day just writing these damn things down. I have a lot more respect for Elsa's job after this. What can you tell me about Caspa? Probably not good, but short term, probably most things are going to rally. So we shall see. And then Wapiti, GRT. Okay. All right. I actually do want to take a quick look at Caspa, even though we probably shouldn't get into the shitcoin request for right now. But is something like this also rallying? It is above its daily 200 simple, so it is a little bit stronger than some of the things that we've been looking at today. But, long term, I think best thing that this thing can do is going to be, I don't know, somewhere around here. I don't think that this thing is going to make new highs above this 2024 high. But to be fair, it does have pretty good history for the time that it's been around, and it has not been around in a prior cycle. So those are the things that actually do have a chance to, maybe make a real move on this, on this next run. But like I said, what I'm really watchful for here, if it really is truly a time to get into the altcoin roulette, is when Bitcoin stalls and plays out a bit of a pullback and consolidates, like you're probably seeing right here, to be honest. Do altcoins rally versus Bitcoin, and do they also potentially even rally versus the US dollar? If they do, we have a 2017 scenario where you're gonna get you're gonna see some crazy shit. But I suppose time shall tell. Krown's magical crypto cave. Indeed, man. Some chicken noises, some screaming chicken noises. We here for Elsa. I'm also here for Elsa as well, man. She's beautiful, she's lovely, and she is amazing. She's probably the highlight of this channel, at least at this point. Where's Elsa's feet right now? I don't know, man. Well, let's see if we can get some feet pics going on. Make that girl go to the gym. Don't let her get fat. Yeah, actually, we've made a pact with each other. We both will never get out of shape. Otherwise it's over. Otherwise it's over. No, kidding. Well, actually, not kidding. But yeah, she's very aware. But she's also self-motivated anyway, so I don't really have to worry about that, which is good, man, which is really, really good. Anita Chu says, getting sleepy today. I'm guessing you're over there in America, probably, because it's probably pretty damn late, I imagine. The RAM heating up. Indeed, man. Indeed. Ask Ben Cowan for some dominance porn. I know people are like super obsessed with this chart right here. I just don't care about it. I only care about altcoin versus Bitcoin pairing. Like, if you've been waiting on this chart, you've missed all of the insane, amazing, meme coin and AI coin moves throughout this past cycle. I don't think it means all that much, but if and when it does top, does that mean that you get all of these shitcoins probably putting in some pretty, decent bounces? Yes. But like I said, I think that's really end stage bull market type shit. This chart, I kind of just expect to generally go up anyways, because look, like anytime with each and every passing day, there's always new shitcoins being added. So if most shitcoins, or if pretty much all of the shitcoins are just generally worthless and trend towards zero for a long enough period of time, then this chart will naturally float up to reflect that. Even if Bitcoin's holding sideways, it doesn't really make any difference, man. What's up, Gwinto? I love you too, sir, and good day to you as well. Rye on Twitter says, Krown, please stay bearish for forever. I will stay bearish longer than the market can stay insolvent or solvent. It will be what it is, man. Yes. Honestly, as far as bearishness goes, like I've been saying, and I think I get misheard on this a lot, I can bring up very, very powerful and strong bearish cases based off of several different things. However, the most important thing at the end of the day is, as always, trend. And as long as Bitcoin is above, especially the daily and even the 4-hour price action pivot, it's just, these are not actionable ideas. They are not actionable in any way, shape, or form. I say these, and I feel like the majority of people do not hear that. But fair enough. You can't force people, and people are going to hear what the fuck they want to hear anyways. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I take it on the chin, and honestly, it doesn't really bother me that much anymore. Miss Sanaa says, hello, sir, and love to you and Elsa. Love you as well, even though my tongue is having an issue tonight. Iron CA says, is it happening tonight? What is happening tonight? I'm actually not sure what's happening tonight. I think Bitcoin's playing out a little bit of a short-term pullback here tonight. But again, as long as you're above this low at minimum, like there's not even like a real 4-hour reversal to be speaking about. But again, like that can still amount to a multi-$1,000 move. We're talking about a price difference of about $6,000 between this pivot right here on the fucking 4-hour time frame, not even the daily, but the 4-hour time frame versus current price action. Like, that's the crazy thing about Bitcoin being in these astronomical territory type numbers, is that, well, you're going to see, $5,000 moves each which way. And it like, did it actually change anything for the general trend? No. However, of course that is tradable. Like, a $5,000 move is a $5,000 move. Like, this is really honestly the perfect time for someone who has some Bitcoin to be a little bit more of an active trader, to be honest, if you are in the more short term, just because there is a lot of opportunity there. But like I said, I've been starting to take on a little bit more of the role of a long-term investor, just because that's kind of where I'm at in this stage of my journey. And I've been having a lot of fun, honestly, learning about it over the past 5 years since I started. So, you know, it's much different than short-term trading. That's for sure. Completely different in many ways, actually. But as far as that goes, you know, I think I've made my thoughts pretty damn clear here. You know, I'm done buying Bitcoin for this cycle as far as long-term bags go. If Bitcoin gets, you know, a 20% more or so dump, you know, I perhaps will put some more money to work. But for this cycle, I'm pretty much done buying Bitcoin. And again, you know, we've been more or less longing Bitcoin in all of these dips, or just throughout this whole fucking time since 2023, especially a big time in this area. And then again, even in 2024. So the way that I look at things, and it's for the people who've been on this channel now for the past couple of years, you already know, like, in my opinion, it's time to be a little bit more defensive if you were making a shit ton of gains over here. Like, you want to protect those gains, because how many fucking stories have you read on Twitter or even experienced yourself, or especially on that CoinFessions page, have you seen where people, you know, make a shit ton of money and then they lose a shit ton of money? And it's just a never ending story, really, of greed, honestly. And I think that that's kind of where we're headed to right now. In fact, I made a quick Twitter post about this morning, and I'll bring it up for a moment right here. And let's see. Yeah, just one moment. I'll bring it into the view. And it was actually in this book that I was reading notes on. It was, I forget what the book's actually called. It's a famous book. It's a very good book as well. But he was describing the herd mentality, which I think is what we're seeing right now, to be honest. And he goes on to say, there is nothing so disturbing to see one's well-being and judgment as to see a friend get rich. And, you know, we see this all day, every day on, of course, social media venues like YouTube, Twitter, Discord, whatever. You know, people are flashing their P&L cards, and, you know, of course, they never showed like their actual, you know, nominal P&L. They always show, of course, the percentage. But fair enough, you know, you're free to do what you do. And you think that everyone else is getting much more rich than you, and that the only way for you to catch up and get what you deserve is to up the leverage and up the risk taking. And of course, that's usually when disaster does strike, maybe even after a few early wins. You know, that does happen as well. But yeah, we all get lured into tales of people making money through investing and of the hot new stock. This was a book about stock market investing, by the way, that we need to invest in. This tendency to get swept up in speculative, get rich quick schemes is representative of how we get lost in herd mentality when making investment decisions. And there's whole channels on YouTube that make their whole fucking, you know, modus operandi around this sort of thing. You know, they basically target fucking morons, and they realize that people, certainly in a desperate situation, can get a bit carried away with this sort of things, and they get taken advantage of. But I won't name names. You can all speculate on who that might be. I don't think that is too hard to figure out. But ultimately, you know, it's these, especially like the shitcoin shills. And why is that? Because yes, you can get amazing returns on these shitcoins in a very short amount of time. It does happen, absolutely. But the amount of people who actually hold on to those gains over a long enough period of time, that actually matters, or really even like for any, let's even say like under a year, is minimal, probably less than 10%, probably even less than 5% if I had to guess. But hey, I don't have the numbers on that. That's just intuition. Well, PD says, Krown, much love from Seattle. I'm gonna go to bed and watch your super chat reply. All good, man. It'll be in by the time that you're up, it'll be in the show notes, or the timestamps, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And yeah, let me see. I just realized I wish I just missed another super chat over here. I'll write down the last few of these, and then we'll get into some Bitcoin analysis. But again, I'll remind everyone that Elsa is not here today, so I do not have my usual shitcoin super chat discoverer. All right, Malpi is looking at ENA and Solana. Okay, all right, we will do those. I think that is, oh Jesus, there's another one. Holy fuck, man. And Mr. Shart is looking at TAO. Okay, all right. Like I said, today is a good day actually to be looking at shitcoin, because if Bitcoin does pull back here, the key thing to be looking at, in my opinion, is, are altcoins going to especially gain versus Bitcoin? If they do, really good sign for a 2017 type scenario. If they do not, or if they do not, then I guess not, you know. It just is what it is. All right, cool. Let me get my notes out for this video, see where we want to start this one off, and we shall get into it. All right. Okay. Yeah, a lot of focus on the bi-weekly time frame here, because the bi-weekly is actually closing for CME tonight. Is the 3-week closing as well? Let me just double check. I assume it's not. Yeah, that's going to be next week, not this week. They're not directly in alignment just yet. Yeah, in hindsight, that hidden bullish divergence signal on the biweekly RSI, not bad. Not bad indeed. Anyways, all right. Okay. And where was this one? Yes, okay, beautiful. And then we have crazy times over here. Okay. The question of the day is Bitcoin entering into the twilight zone, the crazy zone, where things just get more and more crazy after a pretty impressive run here? I mean, over $30,000 from the low to the current high, or very close to about 30,000. No, close to $40,000 from 74,000 bucks all the way up to almost 112,000 US dollars, highly inflated US dollars. But ultimately, the question of the day is Bitcoin more likely to continue here than not? And of course, we do have some very major timeframes closing on today's closure. It's going to be the bi-weekly and of course weekly as well for CME. So I want to put a big focus on this because if pending this closure, a few things do occur, then I would expect Bitcoin to enter into the full-on fucking crazy mania. Okay, maybe not like crazy mania phase, but you know, a bit of a different phase than what we're currently in right now, which is still which still feels a little bit more on the quieter side, just from a social media perspective. Anyways, while we're on here for the biweekly for CME, I want to first acknowledge that yes, the biweekly stochastic oscillator is actually freshly crossing back up to the upside. It will confirm today, assuming that Bitcoin just doesn't crash about $15,000 below 95,000 bucks. That happens in 14 hours, 33 minutes, and 35 seconds and counting. And if we go through all of the past signals that we have seen on the biweekly time frame for Bitcoin, well, they have proceeded some pretty impressive moves here. In fact, I'll mark them off with the green vertical bars, and you can see that it basically caught the mega rallies off of these lows from the prior major consolidation period. You know, this was, of course, like a 6-month period consolidation over here between 30,000 and about 25,000, and then boom, you got your big breakout, big fall through on top of that. Of course, last year we already know this 7 or 8 month long consolidation right here, again resolved on that particular signal with big continuation of follow for the next couple months after that. And we have yet again another one of these signals, again pending tonight's closure, but it does look quite likely, and this is going to be combined with similar levels of BBWP coming off of this low. So this does look like a legitimate breakout, and it does look like a legitimate major continuation phase incoming. And you know, that can, I mean, these last couple ones took what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so 10 weeks towards this major high. I mean, there was a correction right here, but it did go for another 6 weeks after that. Then this one over here was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks, and then correction. Yes, it did trade a little bit higher, about 6 weeks later. But again, that was more or less the highs right there. So, you know, does this proceed another multi-month move? I mean, 8 to 10 weeks puts you what? That puts you a little over 2 months, a little under 3 months. So, you know, again, that puts us like where in terms of timing? That would be, I need to get my calendar out right here. Or actually, no, we can do it like this. This is the easier way to do it. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'd be, somewhere around late July, I guess at the earliest, or mid to late July at the earliest. So yeah, you know, that's, I guess, not so bad. Anyways, on top of that, we also do see that Bitcoin is on the verge of closing above a major level over here on the weekly HPDR for CME. Again, this one's closing later tonight. And if Bitcoin does close above the 61.8 level, this is effectively a major breakout confirmation for me as well, in alignment with that biweekly time frame. And that will officially happen if Bitcoin can close today above, again, on CME, about 111,000 US dollars. And because the biweekly is also closing today as well, I do want to acknowledge something that is perhaps like fully on the moon boy side right here, which is Bitcoin on the biweekly time frame has not only reclaimed and retested the median, which my cursor is currently on, and that's all the way down at $101,000. So wait, what? That doesn't sound right. Holy shit, it really is. That's fucking crazy, man. Oh my God. And basically, anytime that we have seen Bitcoin on the biweekly time frame reclaim the median, it has gotten a free ride up to, at minimum, the top side of the blue 38.2 level. In fact, in many cases, getting much further above there. Now, just because that did happen in the past doesn't mean it's going to get as crazy as we have seen it in the past. But you know, you can see this past iteration right here reclaims the same thing. Boom, major fucking move to the upside, getting actually all the way up to like the 90% levels. This one over here, same thing. Boom, all the way up. After reclaiming. This one over here, same thing, boom, all the way up. This one over here, same thing. This one over here, same thing, and so on and so forth. Although on CME there is kind of a lack of history, so I don't know how much exactly I do trust it, but it can give us some areas of interest for like crazy extension of this rally over the next I don't know, 2 to 4 or maybe like 2 to 8 weeks. The 38.2 level as of right now is 125, and the 50% level is all the way at 137, and the 61.8 level, which I think is like pretty fucking deep, is $147,000. But again, these are pending confirmations, just like we've been speaking about these price action pivots for pending confirmations on potential reversals for Bitcoin playing out a big pullback have not been hit. These have not necessarily been hit at least until tonight's closure, before that becomes, I guess, a little bit more actionable. Although it does, I mean, to my eyes, it looks fucking crazy, but yeah, it is in there, I do suppose. On top of that, I do want to acknowledge this as well, because this is a big one. So I think this was like a week ago, we brought up the capitulation signal on the hash ribbons indicator, which did fire off. Let me see exactly where this happened. This happened, I believe, last Wednesday. So a little bit over a week ago now. The resulting blue buy signal has now fired off as of as of last night's closure. So that one is solidified in there, although my indicator here is saying a projected buy signal in 45 days. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. I don't think that this thing will repaint, at least it hasn't in the past, but that is a little bit strange. I haven't seen that before. Either which way, assuming that one does hold, that does imply that whatever the last major low was for Bitcoin, which in this case is going to be this low from May at 93 to 94,000 bucks, should be a very significant low, in which we don't really expect Bitcoin to trade below anytime soon, or at least without, a decent move to the upside first. And here's the thing, even when these signals have failed in the past, which we will go through some iterations of this, even when these signals have failed in the past, meaning that, Bitcoin did violate the last major trending higher low, well, even in those situations, like you see back from here in August of 2021, there was still a pretty damn decent move to the upside before that catastrophic failure did happen. And to put numbers on it, this one moved all the way up about 50, actually more than 50%. This one was 57%. If we go to the one that failed before that, that would be over here, of course, preceding the Rona dump, which still did play up from that signal about 46%. So, not a bad move there at all. Yes, it did catastrophically fall apart later on, but, not that bad, to be honest. This one over here technically did not fail, but even this one, which doesn't look all that great, did trade up, 35%. So, even in the event of failed signals, they do typically have, some good immediate follow through with, in some cases, a little bit of a correction on the way, but ultimately trading decently higher before anything else. So going back to this one right here, which, now that I recognize it, the 5-day has not done the same thing. It has not done the same thing. So this is only present on the daily right now. But assuming that this does hold, which I guess we'll have to wait for the 5-day to fully close in order for me to feel a lot more confident on this one, just in case if it does repaint, because it shouldn't, but I am a little bit on edge here for doing something like that. If Bitcoin were to put in even a 20% move from here, that puts Bitcoin at 135. And if it does a 30% move, that's 147. And if it does a 40% move, well, now you got 155. You can see that these things do get a little more crazy. But I'd like to see this one fully confirm. And I'll wait for the 5-day to clarify that one, because we actually don't see the same thing on the 5-day right now. It was that way earlier today, actually, when I was looking at it. That's why I did write it down in my notes, but it looks like that's not the case as of right now. So Bitcoin below, I guess, 111,000 bucks on a 5-day closure is not going to confirm this, at least for the next period. So perhaps I should put this one by the wayside, but just like other potential signals, it is in the background, but it's not necessarily confirmed just yet. Anyways, moving on from there, I do want to give the bears their due. And if we could highlight some major areas to be aware of just for today, what kind of keeps bearish hopium alive? Well, if Bitcoin closes the weekly for CME below the January high, which is 110,000 and a little bit of change right there, that would be the first sort of potential warning signal. But just as before, all of these signals, all these signals are second to the actual trend. And when we go down to, okay, actually CME right here is going to be a little bit better. This is what I would expect to see on the price action pivots. But if we even go down to the 4-hour time frame, you can see the last trending higher low was from 106,350 on CME. So, Bitcoin could theoretically come down close to there, put in a higher low, and then continue on with the rally. However, I would still continue to follow this that, hey, if Bitcoin does violate this low, then yes, we can start to talk about some bearish hopium and for, a decent pullback before anything else. And that's just the 4-hour time frame. Really, for the people who are maybe a little bit more, I guess, risk averse or a little bit more patient, a little bit more cautious, I would go over here and use this pivot on the 12-hour time frame for CME, which is basically the daily time frame, by the way, for spot price action. And that one's at around 102,000. I believe spot's like 101,000, somewhere around there. So as long as Bitcoin's above there, you still don't really even have like a real reversal on your hands. But of course, it's not going to happen all in one day anyways. But those would be like my major warning signals. We just went through three major signals that you could kind of follow to essentially confirm like, hey, this thing actually is actually going to play out a pretty damn nice pullback right here, and it'd be poetic as well. Anyways, I think that's a good. Also, Red Rum says on YouTube, actually I just caught it randomly at the side of my eyes. Third drive of bearish divergence on the weekly, perhaps. I mean, if it does confirm a local high here, yes, it will have such things because it has been building this divergence for quite some time. It is massively lower on the weekly RSI compared to the December highs, and certainly below those March of 2024 highs. So, I mean, yeah, it is building there and it will play out at some point, but I'm going to sound like a fucking broken record talking about this and get shitted on all over YouTube because people do not understand, or the average commenter, who wants to shit on me does not understand the importance of confirming like points. In this case, that would be, of course, local high versus local high. So, could it happen right here? Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, now that I recognize it on CME, we do have a nice trend line regression coming in from the last couple highs of this, of the macro cycle. Again, that's your March 2024 highs, and that's your December/January highs right here. So actually, maybe a cause for concern. But like I said, I would personally need to see a local high confirmed first. That would happen again. Like I'd at least wait for the daily to reverse around here. So that would have to come below about 102,000 bucks. At least for me. And if that does happen, then okay, yeah, sure, there's probably a big pullback incoming. I don't know, maybe back down to the 50% retracement level right here. But we'll talk about that if it becomes, more and more relevant to the actual conversation. For right now, still pretty damn far away. So I will hold off on that, at least for the moment. Anyways, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. Maybe we go very quickly over the quantum wave bands. There's been a lot of glowing reviews recently on this, which is good because, of course, this one's been doing fucking phenomenally here throughout this nice move to the upside. This is really the environment that this strategy is designed for. You can see all the entries and exits right here. You can see the more long-term equity curve just continuing to go up and to the right. Yes, it has taken some losses during this. It's nothing's a 100% type thing. It is about a 68% type thing, which you do expect a profitable trade, but that profit factor stays high, which we like, which we very, very like. And looking at the current setup, this one actually did fire off an entry pretty much exactly where we're at right now. If I had to put my opinion on it, I think that this one, probably doesn't work out. But, this one's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins in a row. Its last loss was back on over here from Wednesday of not even this past week, but the week before that. And it actually was followed by 2 losses. But again, it's all about the long term on this one. It's all about, just keeping steady, keeping consistent. And it is a scalping strategy, which I always want to reiterate because some people expect that it just exactly buys the lows and then exactly sells the highs. It's not going to do that every fucking time. Nothing to do that every fucking time. You don't need to even do that every fucking time to make a shit ton of money anyways, but you can try this thing out for free for 7 days. You don't even need a code, no nothing like this. It's all available for you there in the teachable link in the description below. In fact, you can even try out the Quant Prime service for free as well for 7 days. Same offer there. That one's of course for a lot more advanced people. So unless if you have like some real experience trading and you have like real ideas for how to set up strategies, this thing is probably more accessible, we'll say, for the average user who maybe has a little bit less experience. But the Quant Prime service is that's like the big one. Anyways, other than that, we'll be signing off on that note. As always, take care, much love, and we will continue on with the live stream on YouTube and Twitter from here. Lovely, very, very lovely indeed. All right, I'm gonna take some sips of this water. We'll get into some of these what's it called? These super chats right here. All right. Yes, we have a. Oh God, it's a fucking hex guy. You have to ban the hex people. They are just too crazy. Too crazy. The hex people are. They always follow. They always follow me around and just like they just let me know. They just let me know. Anyways, whatever, man. If that's your problem, sir, that's your problem. I can't help you. I can't help you. You can't even help yourself if you're involved in that shit. Nothing will help you at this point. If you're still involved in something like that, nothing's going to help you. Anyways, all right. I'll go down the list here. We have Steven Schickman. He's first, as always, looking at Dogecoin. We've been having a 25-cent target on this one. It hit it back in May. I do think that this one will trade higher overall. Does it trade higher exactly from here without a pullback first? I actually do think so. I do think that it will trade up towards 30 cents. We're seeing all indicators suggest continuation of this current move. Weekly, 5-day, yeah, it's all the same, man. I think that this thing's heading up to like 30 to 33 cents or so. Again, your monthly is similar to, I think it was Link putting in this next higher low right here. So, you know, at some point you probably do get another reconnect, I would assume in June with the 5 EMA. So that's down around about 22 cents. Now that will go up, to be fair, when you get June open, but that should be that should be another low on a lower term time frame, and then this one does continue up. Because yeah, I mean, fair, you know, to give Dogecoin its due diligence. I mean, again, this is one of the few things that has actually held macro cycle higher lows from cycle to cycle, and even made new highs as well. So I'd give this one the benefit of the doubt. It's definitely not in the super shitty coin drawer that we typically do see. Mr. Nuno is looking at Dog BTC. So this is actually a different thing. It's not Dogecoin, it's Dog, or maybe it is. Okay, maybe it actually is, and you just forgot the. Actually, probably is nothing's popping up right there. All right, well, let's try this. Well, to be fair, it actually it actually does hold these lows like decently well. This is not something that you expect to see on most shitcoins. Most shitcoins just go down and down and down and down and down again. Versus Bitcoin, it does have its third drive of bullish divergence come off of this low on a monthly time frame. So if at any point it was going to actually reverse, this would be it. And it even has a higher low compared to this last month, or sorry, this last low in August. So it's actually a drive of phantom divergence going from, or originating from January of 2024. Fair enough. Yeah, that does work. Anyways, shit, if there ever was a time, this would be it. This would be it. Of course, May closure still like what, a week away? Let me just double check. I think it's literally 1 week. 1 week from tomorrow. 1 week from tomorrow. But yeah, I do think that this one will probably test somewhere around that 200 simple at least before this cycle is all said and done, and that's hovering around about 300 satoshis as of the moment. Fucking by the dip is looking at Link. We didn't look at the lower term time frames, so let's just go and quickly check that one out as well, because I didn't actually do that. Although I do think the higher term time frames are showing a good chance of general continuation. 4-hour time frame, what's a pullback? So it does want to pull back alongside Bitcoin, maybe back down to like $16. Maybe it even comes all the way back down towards these towards these last lows at about 1530-ish region, just somewhere around that price action pivot, and also would be the 200 simple and the 3770 EMA. So that would be a pretty obvious area for at least a bounce and probably even the next higher low. But yeah, short term does look like it wants to play out a little bit of a short term downside move. So like I said, I'm going to be pretty interested to see, do the altcoin Bitcoin pairs rally during this pullback, or do they fall as well? Because if they do, then well, Bitcoin's still the king. If they don't, and we actually see altcoin Bitcoin pairs rally, then I think that you got a 2017 scenario, or at least the potential for it. Tobo says Sol BTC. Yeah, we can look at Sol BTC. It's actually really good to be checking out these Bitcoin pairings today, especially just because, a rising tide lifts all ship versus US dollars, but the Bitcoin pairing is the real deal for what things are actually happening right there. All right. Just one moment. For some reason, it's not loading. I don't understand why. There's certainly that pair certainly exists. I'm positive, like fully positive. Yeah, there we go. Okay. This one actually holding an uptrend. We're on a little bit of a lower time frame there. But even the weekly looks like, yeah, it is putting in a low here. You got an inverted herp and derp with your left derp, your herp, and then your right derp over here. Even have a phantom drive of bullish divergence come off that last low as well. So I do think that this one will trade up similar to the last one that we looked at, somewhere around the 200 simple on the weekly, which is 19,000 or so satoshis. Above there, things start to look a lot different, but I can't lie to you and say that this does not look like an early version of the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, to be honest. So it's going to be really critical for this last local low here to hold. That's 15,500 Satoshis, meaning that, at least in the way that I look at things, if this thing does come back down below that price action pivot at 15,500, I think that this thing falls apart and it follows the Ethereum Bitcoin playbook. But for right now, I guess there's a little bit of hopium here for this being, an actual major low. When I look at a quarterly, I think it is literally just that hopium. I actually would have to say I don't think it's going to pull through. So quarterly outweighs obviously, a daily and a weekly here. So even if it did get a rally up to 18, 19,000 Satoshis, I'd still be very skeptical of this thing. And that skepticism gets confirmed below again this past Wednesday's low. It's 15,500 or so. Anyways, GTX is looking at PP coin. All right, PP coin. Actually, this one also has been perhaps one of the better shitcoins from cycle to cycle. Yeah, holding good higher lows from cycle to cycle, and a really fucking powerful move through here as well. Similar to, I forget what it was, but similar to one of the other ones that we looked at earlier. In June, I would be expecting another reconnect on a pullback with that red 5 EMA. It will move up from where it's currently at 12,000 to who knows what, but it will move up. Assuming that this thing just doesn't shit the bed completely before the end of month. But in the short term, do you have a local high right here? It does look like it, yes. So maybe a short-term pullback. I don't know how damning that is, especially as long as you're above basically this early morning low at 14,000 and change. But ultimately, if anything's going to try a little bit higher, I think it'd be this thing. This is an example after maybe a retest in June of something that of a shitcoin that really could actually have an explosive move. And again, I'm basing that off of just its ability to hold these macro cycle higher lows. And so, what would the next obvious target be upon continuation? Somewhere around 20,000. But again, I do think that you will get a pullback first, probably in early June. So yeah. All right. What else we got? Fudmaster B. Great name. Oh, we already looked at Kaz, so I think we're good there. And then we got Wapiti. He's looking at FRT. Maybe he meant GRT. Okay, yeah, it must have been GRT. Man, did I actually fuck this up? It must be GRT because G is very close to F on my keyboard. But I can't promise I'm going to have anything nice to say about this. This is a prior cycle shitcoin that has not held higher lows from cycle to cycle. In fact, it's done the traditional shitcoin death spiral. And it's just too hard to beat Bitcoin over a long period of time. Look, if it gets an extension on this rally, I think you could trade up towards, or I'm looking at, did you want to look at, oh yeah, okay. This is, I'm not even looking at it versus Bitcoin. I assumed I was, but it's not. It's even worse than that, I guess. If it does get an extension on this move, 15, 16 cents is where I'd be looking towards. I think max would be around a quarter. But that's, if that comes, that's going to be a lot later, to be honest. In general, I expect this thing to continue on with a long-term trend towards the downside, making new all-time lows. You got high, you got low, you got lower high, you got lower low. Does it put another lower high around 18 cents or where it's at right now? That's a real question. I think if at any time things are going to rally, this is probably this next month or two is probably it. But I'd be highly skeptical of this thing overall for, putting in any sort of major reversal, just because it's never literally done that ever. Anyways, Mr. Maltbeast is looking at Solana and ENA. Okay, we'll start off with Solana. I got Solana over here at 180. Again, we've been having a 180 target for a long time. It did get hit in May, and I do think that this one will extend towards $200. I believe we said that in earlier mid-May as well, just because of the pace at which it actually approached this first major targeted region right here. So, somewhere between 200 to maybe 210 region. But that is kind of an area of caution, I would say. In the very, very short term, does this one play at a pullback from here? I mean, as long as you're below that 200 simple, probably better to be betting on that. It looks like Bitcoin probably plays out a short-term pullback as well, so fair enough. But just like Bitcoin, until you actually take out that last daily price action pivot, which for this one is all the way down at 159.5, it's not necessarily bearish, just a pullback, but can afford a pretty big pullback here and still remain with that uptrend. So I'll just be cognizant of that. Short-term probably does pull, or is more likely to pull back, but these higher-term timeframes, I do have a hard time not seeing this one get at least to $200 or so, and going from there. Looking at a quarterly, Yeah, again, quarterly makes me think that this thing is not going to take out the January highs, but I mean, at this point, who the hell knows? Anyways, let's move on. We have, oh, and then ENA as well. Okay, ENA. This is the Arthur Haynes shitcoin of choice, I believe. Let's go down to a daily. And yeah, okay. So your next breakout is basically going to be back above last Wednesday's high. That's about 46.5 or so. Above there, actually, I would be expecting a pretty decent move towards 60 cents or almost 60 cents. I mean, to be fair, you actually do have a weekly higher low here. It's ugly as fuck and weird as fuck, but you know, this is a low, this is a high, this is a higher low. There's no real lows along the way. So this one actually does have a legitimate chance at a real reversal. So that actually does give it some, I mean, if it does, I mean, that's like humongous upside, I guess, from here. But don't blame me for being a little bit more on the cautious side, man. You know, I do think that you're going to get most things, almost everything is going to get at least a pity rally to their 200 simple. So for this one, that would be, again, around 60 cents above there. I mean, maybe it really does actually put in a, you know, confirm like a higher high. Right now, it has the potential for a higher low. It looks like that will be confirmed, but still a long ways to go. So, yeah. All right. Anyways, we have Shart, crypto Shart, looking at symbol TAO. I believe this one was very popular like early on within the cycle, but actually kind of similar to the last chart. But not as strong, to be fair, because it does have a lower low on a closing basis and even a wick basis as well for the weekly and monthly. But as far as this one's concerned, you know, you have a very obvious area of interest here for a potential mega weekly breakout that is effectively last week's high. Anywhere above there, about $500, especially on a weekly closing basis, this thing will run back towards those prior all-time highs, like $700. It's not going to be all in the same fucking weekly dildo, obviously, but that would just be like a generalized area of interest. It's kind of weird, man. And like in the past month, since I've been like pretty conservative and skeptical on Bitcoin, I've actually been a lot more on the bullish side for altcoins. And this one, yeah, I do think that this one will try a little bit higher. Again, price action pivot on the daily is what, 385, 386. Let's just call it 390. If you do violate that region, okay, all of that bull hopium just gets thrown into the fucking trash and, you know, back down to zero, I guess. But, you know, if, like I said, if at any time things are going to have like free rides here, this would be the portion of the market cycle, I guess, for that. Anyways, all right, I'll try to dig up the rest of the super chats that were posted after that and see what we can pick up over here. I think I saw Do Kwon. He's looking at Housecoin. Okay. I think this is like the new meme or something like this. All right, Mexi. This one has not been around for very long. Fuck, man. I really hate these meme coin charts that go straight up, you know, early on and then basically down only from there. I think that this one's also entering into one of those down only phases. The only way I'll change my mind on this one is if it trades back above the Sunday 11th high of May, and that's about 8.5 cents above there. Okay, yeah, give it new all-time highs, whatever. But I'm heavily biased towards these things just because of what I've seen in this market time and time again with these shitcoins, that this major move right here is very likely going to be the all-time high for a very long time, if not for forever. You even got, you know, a downtrend going on right here. You got high, you got low, you got lower high, lower low. Could this be the next lower high? I mean, it is a lower high as long as you are below 8.5 cents. So, you know, it could rally up to 7 cents from here, which is like a 50% move. And that would still be another lower high. So that's why I'd be a little more on the skeptical side versus something like this. I would effectively say that this hidden bullish divergence is probably already played out as well. But you could make me a mega bull in this thing if you do just really even trade above that early May high. So fair enough. But I would be a lot more on the defensive side for things like this just because, well, do I need to explain? Anyways, the real G squared says, hey Krown, did you ever watch the films Scary Movie 1 or 2? Oh, man, I've seen those infinite amounts of times. Will you check out Deep versus Sui? Okay, so we got Shitcoin versus Shitcoin. I believe, okay, there actually is a token here. Oh, we can go to the thing that just got hacked last night. Let's see what this looks like. Holy shit. I guess I would be expecting Deep to be gaining against Sui if, well, then again, it wasn't either of the ones that actually got hacked. It was Cetus, but whatever. Anyways, weird chart here for me, to be honest. A really weird chart for me, to be honest. I would naturally expect Deep to outpace Sui if the market is bullish. if the market is bearish, I'd be expecting literally the opposite. So let's come up with some areas of like full-on confirmation. For this one, I would actually look a little bit lower than this last price action pivot. I would actually put it right here at 1575, meaning that as long as you're above 1575 on this ratio, I would be favoring still deep versus SUI. But below there, I think that you have a real reversal and you're coming all the way back down close to these lows, and SUI will be gaining versus deep. But that probably would be everything coming down versus US dollar, to be fair. So we'll see how that one goes. Also, we have Demon Babe, nice name. Vet, let's look at Vet BTC. This is a prior cycle shitcoin as well. I believe this is like multiple cycles ago, in fact. We'll go to KUDERP over here. And it's exactly what you'd be expecting versus Bitcoin, just down only for eternity of eternity. It's reversing for sure, right? No jokes allowed. Look, if it does get a bounce near the end of this cycle, I think you're going to be held by the 200 simple or somewhere between these two major moving averages here. That's going to be between like 375 on the lower end to 410 on the higher end, and that will be moving down over time as well. But look, the long-term trend is to the downside. So if you're looking for one of those pops, like it's a game of Russian roulette. This thing, the one thing that is certain for this is that it just continues to go down and to the right. So if you do get one of those pops, like it's in my opinion, it's just luck. You're more likely to go down here than up. Over a long enough time span. Crypto Rect says virtual on the daily. Yes. So this one is a part of the narrative, I believe, or the prior narrative, the AI coins. Actually not as impressive as I would have expected, but I actually do think that this thing is getting ready to break out here and make new highs on this rally. New highs on this rally, not new all-time highs, just to be sure. How high can this thing go? I guess the next area eventually is going to be this swing top right here at around 260-ish region, something like that, man. Something like that. Let's draw a Fibonacci retracement as well from the high to the low, just to see. Yeah, it's right at the 382 right now. I would be expecting somewhere between like 260 to 275, assuming that this breakout does prove itself, which it will if it closes above about 220. And again, you got your reversal condition back here, so an invalidation essentially below Sunday, the 18th of May's low at 165 or so. So yeah. All right, nice one. Okay, let's see. Oh, wow. Elsa actually did send me all of these chats from the gym. That's crazy. All right, let me get on to the rest of the chats here now. Now that we've gotten to some of the super chats, which is really, really nice. Oh, look who... You are a bird. Like, what the fuck was that? Lou Ferragno says, hold a funeral for that money, sir. Yeah, man. Is it bonk time? No, I think things have actually been pretty cool in the chats here. Oh, Sui's back down to like 283. Wait, what? I just saw it at like 290 or 390. I don't know. I'm fucking losing my mind, I think. Trump on the daily. Actually, let's check out Trump coin. I can't imagine it's doing well, but even this thing's going to rally in the short term, I imagine. And it has. And you got your higher lows as long as you're above 12 and a quarter. So what? I mean, everyone kind of knows what you're looking at right here, but you're looking at something like this, right? That would be the bullish view. Needs to trade back above yesterday's high for a confirmed breakout, but most things seem to be selling off of this. So I'm a lot more inclined to say the short term will be a pullback, at least for most shitcoins here. And for Bitcoin, like I said, a pullback could easily bring you back down to like 109. That doesn't do anything, to be honest. I mean, shit, it really have to come back down below like 106 at this point for me to even, for the bears to start to prove themselves a little bit. But like I said, that's a fucking $4,000 move right there. And if you want to go by the book with the price action pivots, I mean, that's even lower at 104. So Jesus, man. Difficult. Florian says, hello, monkey boy. Hello, monkey girl. I can imagine. Indeed. Yes. Let's see. I'm just scrolling through some of these chats right now. Got here late. Did you explain about how long you expect this correction to play out? I really don't know, man, because it depends on how this weekly closes for CME. If the weekly closes below 110, I think it could actually take some time, man, because, we are at extremes here. We went over this in yesterday's video, but this is an extreme time for Bitcoin because we are in the process of very likely about to confirm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green weeks in a row. And historically speaking, I mean, once you get to like 7, especially 8, we don't really see anything like bigger than that over time. I mean, on CME here, you only got history back to 2018, but I believe 7 is like the maximum that we typically see, maybe a little bit more than that. But you see 7 over here from the October 2023 rally. You see this was 6. This was also 6, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, it was 4. Not even close. This one over here was also 6 from the Rona dump lows. This one over here, 6 bars coming off of the 2018 cycle lows. This one over here, 7 bars on this epic rally, preceding a pretty epic correction as well. This one also a 7 bar. Sorry, this is not CME. This is the index, but same thing. 7 bars. So going all the way back to. Yeah, we'd have to go all the way back to 2012 before you see more than 7 bars green in a row. So, I just want to bring up that like we are kind of in a crazy place right now. But assuming that Bitcoin does close, somewhere below like 109, 110 today, then yeah, okay, I do think that you will get a correction first, and we can talk about corrective targets if and when that does happen. But I don't want to incite the hate and fury of the of probably the shitcoin shills that really don't like it when you talk about bearish shit until it's like fully confirmed. Because I learned my lesson with that. People don't like that. People really don't like that, in fact. What did you train at the gym, Elsa? What did you do at the gym? What did you actually do? She actually did high-intensity intervals, which is pretty impressive, honestly. Pretty impressive. Probably the most important thing that you could do as well. Anyways. Yeah. We both have this device that measures like your health age. It's called Whoop, and it's actually it's really addicting to look at, to be honest. Anyways, hero indeed. All right, I'll read through some more of these comments, but I don't actually really see too many shitcoin requests for today, or maybe I'm missing some. Only ticklies, yes. No top from me shall be blown off, says Van Duysen. I do think that this cycle will not see a blow off top, to be honest. I really don't think. I think that you're going to get would you consider this a blow off right here? I mean, it depends what you consider a blow off, because if you consider this a blow off, then, well, I think that that's probably what it's going to look like, honestly. Crypto Clown World says, I'm looking for 115 to 117 before any pullback, Krown. I could definitely see that if Bitcoin holds the numbers that we're looking for on the weekly closure for CME, if it does that, especially above like 111, I think you're going to be right. I think you'd even trade a little bit north of there first, maybe closer to like 122 or so. Like that's the twilight zone, but below 111, I think that becomes an opportunity for like a real correction, but we'll see. Can you look at Polkadot? Oh boy. I can look at it, but don't hate me if I don't have anything nice to say about this thing. This is a 2021 shitcoin. I'll look at it versus Bitcoin, and this is exactly what you can expect for the overwhelming majority, probably more than 99% of all shitcoins from cycle to cycle. You're going to get your bounces, you get your bounces like this, but they all fail. They all fail, of course. Even DOT versus the USD is probably going to be terrible as well. Bless you, sir. Not as bad, but yeah, still very, very bad. Still a massive macro downtrend with no end in sight, but, could rally up to like $6, $7 and continue on with the mega massive nasty downtrend. Overall, the one thing that I would feel extremely confident in betting on is a downwards direction. We already looked at virtuals. We already looked at this one. Bidet cleans the shit up. Yes, indeed. Have you done the burpee challenge? Actually, I have. Me and my boxing coach, we would do this. Oh my God, man. This is honestly the hardest thing. I think this was maybe the hardest thing. Like my heart rate would go fucking insane from this, but we would do 50 burpees in a row. And like 5-0. But my cardio at the time was so fucking good that I could actually do it. Now I could probably do like 20 to 25 in a row. But goddamn, man, like Jesus, though, I don't know what it is with burpees, but they just fucking make your heart rate go crazy in a way that almost nothing else does. It's something about jumping. That one makes your VO2 max go up like crazy, but it really does feel awful. Like the ballet jumps. I mean, jumping's hard. Like it's actually hard. Yeah. No, it was 50 in a row and it was just fucking god awful. Like I felt like I was dying afterwards. My coach can do it and it's almost like no issue for him. But, but yeah, at that point we had been training in Dubai for like 2 or 3 months straight in the 40°C weather, doing all sorts of just terrible, terrible, terrible exercises. So yeah, near the very, very end of it, we could do 50 in a row, both of us. And it, like, I don't know how long it took, but you know, we weren't actually like stopping or anything like that. But my VO2 max was probably like above 60 at that point. Right now it's actually 58 is what I just tested. Yeah, I don't know why they're so hardcore. I really don't understand why they're so hardcore. It must be the jumping aspect, like going from low to high, and you know you have to push your whole body weight up. Like it's difficult, man. What device you said you use to measure health age? It's this thing right here. It's a Whoop. It's called the Whoop. WHOOP. It has a fucking terrible name, honestly. Like really fucking dumb. But I love the product, man. I really do. Gabriel says, did you try using Heikinashi for long short bot strategies? I don't think it'll actually work with Heikinashi. I have checked your chats, so one moment. Cardano, it's 2 a.m. Krown call. It's a booty call for Cardano here. Shorter term sucks right now around the 200 daily MA. In your opinion, does it fade for a bit or carry on? I mean, this is clearly rejection of the 200 simple right here, right? But just because the first, or I guess this would be the second pass is rejected, doesn't mean it's going to hold up. But I would be expecting a very, very short-term correction at least to emerge, like maybe back down to 79 cents and then tries another move to the upside. I'd like to see the higher term. Yeah, I do think that this one actually will pull through. So, you know, does it come down to this number first, like 79? I don't know. I really don't know. But based off the weekly, I think that this one is actually getting primed for a decent move to the upside, probably close to $1, if not over $1. And I'll tell you what you already know as well, which is, look, back above those March highs, this thing's going to fucking explode. Still not that great from cycle to cycle here, but you know, if it takes out those highs, I mean, 1.5 to 170, 180 is like not that crazy in my opinion. And you got the same sort of setup here as we've seen on some of the other like stronger multi-cycle shitcoins, which is you got these monthly higher lows. You got low, higher low again. Alongside higher highs as well. So, you know, it does deserve some respect in my opinion. Whether it pulls back short term or not, I actually don't think matters that much. This thing's actually setting up here, and I'd just generally be bullish on it as long as you're above the price action pivot from May 19th at 71.25 cents. By the way, if you're looking for the price action pivots, it's also available on Teachable. You can also try it out for 7 days free. It's just one of those easy indicators that kind of keeps you in the right direction, keeping those biases correct, you know, and just something like super, super, super easy to follow. There's actually a big update coming soon, which I probably shouldn't talk about, but yeah. Anyways, yes. All my picks says, what are the next levels of Bitcoin? 172,000 is a bigger fib level. Bitcoin was going before in previous bull runs. For me, okay, so we're running with the assumption that Bitcoin is going to continue, and like it's more bullish than Boolah Jesus. Next big one would be like right around 120, somewhere between 120 to 125. Above there, I got 136. Above there, I got basically 150. And then above there, I don't think that we see above there, or at least I wouldn't even be like entertaining possibilities of those targets, you know, anytime soon. But here, you know, I have a really good counterpoint to why I actually don't think it's going to even get to those like deeper numbers, or especially 200,000. Again, I can be massively fucking wrong on this. You know, I've been massively fucking wrong in the past as well. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin has seen diminishing returns from cycle to cycle. And when we look at it, we can measure out and understand very quickly that, you know, those numbers are outside of the scope of what we've seen in the past. So you can see this first cycle here from 2011 to 2013, you have a 60,000% move. Okay. It's like really good. Then from the next cycle low to the next cycle high, it's still a humongous move, but it's not as humongous. It's 12,100% move to the upside from low to high. Then for the most recent cycle, we see that number drop off significantly, still really, really nice, above 2,100% from low to high. But, you know, can we expect something similar for this one as well? Well, from the current low to where we're at right now, it's already been 600%. We're seeing the rate at which these highs come in at massively dissipate. So I think that looking for anything over like 1,000 is probably unlikely. And put a number on that, that's actually 165 or so. And for right now, we're at about 620-ish% from the low. So, I think it's going to be really, really hard to get to some of these crazier numbers because, again, like even just going from the 2017 cycle to the past cycle, that's 12,100%. And that gets reduced by it goes down to 2,100%. So, these are orders of magnitude different. I think even looking for 1,000% move off of these lows is probably unlikely. But yeah, this time is different for sure. It is what it is, man. WorldCoin for Simon H. Okay. Is this the OpenAI thing? I feel like I've seen this somewhere. This was getting a lot of hype. Yeah, as far as charts goes, I obviously don't love it. It's right around the 200 simple, which is pretty much where everything's at right now. If it doesn't get an extension on this move, I still think that you hold your long-term lower highs, but it could trade up to $2.50 and still be a lower high. I truly think that the long-term downtrend of destiny is setting in for this one, but your last lower high was 420. Great number. This thing could rally up all the way between $2.50 to $3, and that's a beautiful area for another lower high. But just to be 100% clear, in the short term, I'm not bearish on this thing. I do think it'll at least get up to $2. So yeah, fair enough. Oh Jesus, I realized I've missed quite a few things. IR Brandon says DJT stock weekly. Sure, man. This is a Trump stock. All right. Looks like a shitcoin. I think I'd rather own his fucking Trump shitcoin. Pretty bad. You wouldn't have expected it, but look, in the short term, it actually does look like the charts of most of these shitcoins, to be honest. You got this price action kind of consolidating around the 200 simple. You got higher lows along the way. So I technically should treat it bullish as long as you're above about $23.50. I do think you'll get another shot at the 200 simple, to be honest. But, if it breaks out from there, maybe it gets a ride towards 30 to 32 or so. But again, long term, I'm just never going to like a chart like this. So, it's just a question of where do you find the next lower high? And of course, if it does take out this low, then, well, send it back down to its April lows, I guess. Yeah. All Myopic says, oh yeah, we just literally read that. My bad. The Real G Squared says XMR weekly, please. This seems like an interesting level here. Last we looked at it was actually pretty good. One of the more obviously bullish charts, and yeah, holy shit, big follow through there as well. Really big follow through. I would like to see where this breakdown occurred from, because it looks like it's pretty much at where current price action is. Hey. Oh, derp. Okay, yeah, so this is the level to beat right now. Look, if you can see the weekly close above 390, or just basically here or higher, I do think you get an extension towards, 450 to 500 sooner rather than later. But if you do close below this level, it's a good place for a correction, to be honest. If that does happen, you got your last price action pivot around 330. So again, it can afford a pullback and still put in another higher low. And if it does break this one, it's not necessarily even bearish from there. It's just, I'd be looking for the next level to be hit around 290 or so. But for right now, this one's showing relative strength, to be honest. One of the best charts that we've actually seen today. But, it is more or less testing the open/close of the 2021 highs on a monthly time frame. So that is typically a pretty damn good place for a pullback, to be honest. But like I said, this thing can afford a big pullback and still be more or less bullish. I have a hard time not seeing this one, at least retesting these $500 highs, probably making new all-time highs. The quarterly is in a real uptrend. You got your high, you got your low, it is technically a lower high right here, but you got higher low again, and this one's already taken out that last prior high, so this is a higher high by definition. So I look at this one as a reversal, confirmed, and likely to lead toward, probably new highs, honestly. That assumes that the rest of the market, keeps it up very, very well. But like I said, in the short term, don't be surprised if this thing pulls back dramatically from where it's at right now. But again, keep an eye on the price here, because even if it comes all the way down to 290, I'd still look at this thing as okay, to be honest. Okay, all myopic says, I mean, can you mention the next bigger fib levels, all without bearish bias, 236 or so? I mean, I can, like, but you already know the answer because barely you've done the work. So I don't know. I guess you just want me to show it on stream. Like, I can do that, but to be honest, like, I don't really care, because when you look at the history of this, you will actually see. Let me just do this really quickly here. You will see that. This has actually not been so consistent from cycle to cycle. So I think the assumption is that you said, it hits a specific level every cycle. Well, let's see. So in past cycle, or let me actually do this on log scale, by the way. Probably going to look a lot better there. Yeah. So in the past cycle, it hit the 1618. This current cycle for instance is, where is it right now? It's at the 1382. Let's go to a cycle before that. Let's see what it hit on this one. I'm going to guess it's going to be even higher. Yep, it's going to be at the 2382. So we don't really have uniformity on these, to be honest. So that's why I'm like very hesitant to say, hey, yeah, that's going to be it. Okay, these first two cycles did hit the 2382. Actually, both of them did. But the cycle preceding, following that one, or in this one actually was a little bit less than the 2382. So even that's actually not necessarily true. But of course, this one over here, an order of magnitude lower at 1618. And again, I think it makes a lot more sense to assume there is going to be diminishing returns from cycle to cycle. Whether this thing gets up to the 1382 at 120, which I do think is very likely. And I've been saying that for about a month now, or if it gets up to, the 1.5 level, I do think the 1618 is actually a lot less likely. If you're looking for the 2 extension to get hit, you're basically saying that Bitcoin is going to increase its gains from cycle to cycle, certainly compared to the 2021 cycle. And even then, I mean, like, you really think it's going to do better than this cycle here from 2014 and also 2017? I think that's very, very, very unlikely. But I mean, shit, I'd be happy if it happened. Like, shit, don't get me wrong. I don't like say that with a smile, man. Like, I probably hold more, I hold a lot of Bitcoin. Like, I'm be very, very happy for that to happen. But, I like to be more realistic, because that's just not the trend that we have over a long period of time. And that's quite literally the definition of this time is different, which I don't really want to fall into. If it's going to get to the 2618 or the 2382, I mean, now you're looking at $500,000. Like, do I think Bitcoin's going to go to $500,000 this cycle? No, I literally think that we're in the tail end of this market cycle. But if you're requesting that I let go of any bearish buys, I mean, then why fucking stop there, man? Like, we just go to 1 million. Like, why not? Why not? Like, I'll just say Bitcoin to 1 million. Not allowed to talk about bearish things. I mean, is it even bearish to say that Bitcoin is likely to go to maybe somewhere between 120 to 140? Like, this is what I was referring to earlier with this. Like, don't get sucked into this bullshit. You're going to end up a loser over a long enough period of time. I can assure you of this. It's going to happen. This is not an uncommon story. It happens every fucking cycle. Every fucking cycle. Like, don't get carried away. This is not the time to get carried away, at least in my opinion, because we're probably at the tail end of this cycle. And yes, there are gains to be had. Yes, you can make a shit ton of gains, during the end of the cycle, but you don't want to get carried away during this time, because, well, when things switch around, they will switch around extremely fast, and those paper profits turn into realized losses real fucking quick. So yeah.
Do I have close, please?
It doesn't really matter. I mean, I got plenty of time. Tobo says stock DFDV. DeFi developments. Okay, so it's like oh wow, powerful. Really, really powerful. It's like a shitcoin in the stock market. I'm guessing this, well, obviously it's something to do with DeFi. I'm actually going to add this to my list. Thank you for bringing this one up, man. DFDV. All right. Interesting one. I really don't know what to make of something like this, to be honest. Like, obviously this thing wants to go up, but you're going to see very, very volatile moves here. If it does want to pull back, I'd be looking somewhere around like 18. Oh my God. Wait, what? Oh, Jesus. Okay. That actually very well could be a top from yesterday, but if it does pull back, the way you go up is the way you come down. And I guess I wouldn't be super surprised if it came back down to like $20. Yeah, you're going to have some bearish divergence on this high as well if it does top out here. So let's come up with a condition to confirm a local high here, thus confirming the mega pullback. Yeah, this would be below Thursday's low, and that is 33.35, let's say, something like that. until then, I mean, I guess maybe the mega rally continues, but below there, I'd say, hey, this is no more hopium. Be looking for some like real retracements, and probably a major opportunity on the other side. To be fair, I mean, that's a crazy chart, man. Guess it'll depend a lot on the weekly close. I mean, the weekly does still look pretty good as well. So again, I'm not calling it just yet, but the conditions are present. They are present. All right. Crypto Wrecked RD says BERT USD. Sure, man. BERT US DERP. Let's go to a daily. Yeah, it's really good. Really good, man. My face when I look at a chart like this. I mean, it actually is better than a lot of things that we've seen today in the short term because it's actually already taken out the last week's highs and most things are kind of getting stopped around there. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't want to get bullish on something like this just because, well, you already know why, but it's not necessarily bearish as long as you're above this price action pivot, which is 3 cents. And that's very far away from current price action. So it's not really helpful, to be honest. And I totally get that. So if it does continue, where's the next obvious area? Like 5.5 to 6 cents, which is like nearly a 50% move from where you're at right now. But as you know, man, like this would be a great place for another lower high if it were to happen, you know? So I really don't have a strong opinion on this one, to be honest, just because it looks different than a lot of things today, which actually could be a really good sign, to be honest. But yeah, I don't have a good read on this one, man. All my pick says, strange. Okay, I had 172 in mind, so 172 is no fib level. Maybe if you're using like a different type of fib. So if we base the Fibonacci retracement on let me go to this again. If we base it on linear scale, then maybe you'll be right there. In this case, this one hit the 1618. Yes. Let's try this one over here. This one hit the 3618. Okay, so this is already not working at all. This one over here hit, I mean, it just goes off. It's off the charts so high. It's off the charts, probably like a 6 or 7 handle. And then this one over here is obviously going to be more than that. So yeah, man, I don't see it. Again, I really don't think that right now is the time to get carried away with like mega fucking targets, even though you're going to see a lot of this shit in the coming month or two. I can assure you of that. But yeah. Yeah, I don't see 172 as any fib level. I mean, it would be the 3 extension, but that's just literally a 3x from the lows is what it is. Or no, it's not a 3x from the lows, but okay, yeah, it's a 3x from this area right here, but yeah, technically not even a fib number anyways. Or actually no, 3 is technically a fib number, but it's not a ratio number, to be fair. Anyways. Damn. Free on YouTube says, I've used the Joule indicator and Claude 4. They work a dream with a little API fuckery, but over 500,000 up. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Nicely done. It's those times where the good reviews start to really come pouring through, but it also makes me a little bit scared on this market cycle. But yeah, man, hey, more power to you. It is pretty fun, honestly, to put, indicator data or especially like strategy data from the Quant Prime service into something like Claude or what I use as ChatGPT. Everyone has their favorite one, right? But it can help with kind of sorting through data and, maybe seeing something that you wouldn't have really picked up yourself, but the AI does notice it. Actually, I'm going to get rid of all these right now. I don't want that on my chart for forever. Okay. Anti-Pro says going for a short at 113 and 116. Fair enough. I don't really see anything in those areas personally. I think that if Bitcoin, continues with the rally here, I think it'll get to like 120, but yeah, like I've been saying, don't be surprised when a pullback does come, because when it does come, it'll be swift, it'll be nasty, and highly volatile as well. Again, like even the daily range is literally more than $10,000. Like that's fucking crazy, man. That's totally crazy. Like, oh my God. But all higher term timeframes are building up divergences. Again, they are not confirmed yet. before lobotomized YouTube commenters say some dumb shit. You have to confirm a local high first before they're actionable. At some point, they will play out. I can assure you of this. Happens nearly every fucking time. Yeah, every time frame, daily, 2-day, 3-day, 5-day, even the 10 days building at some point, as is the weekly, and even as is the monthly as well. So doesn't mean that things can't go higher, but when you start to get local highs confirmed, that's going to be a real scary time. David Middleton says 118 to 124, then negative 30%. I actually do think that that's very possible, like very, very possible. Somewhere between like 20 to 40%, let's say. I expect things to get more volatile heading into the end of this cycle rather than less volatile. And the last correction for Bitcoin was like 30%. So actually, it might be closer to 40%, honestly. Yeah. And then you get another, and then what I think is actually going to happen from there is you get another like 8-month-long range sideways, similar to what we saw in 2024, and then actually probably more upside. But let's just play around with numbers here for a moment. If Bitcoin were to do that, I'm not saying it is, but if it were to do that, that would basically bring it back down to like 70,000-ish as a low. Kind of makes sense, honestly. Play it a year sideways there and then back up again. I think that that's actually how Bitcoin will trade from now on, just because it's trading like an ETF. Like we haven't really seen this in the past before, where you get these multi-month long consolidations after an all-time high break. That's actually never happened ever in Bitcoin's history, except for one time, actually. The one time that it did happen was in the 2013-2014 cycle right here. It took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, yeah, even then it's a lot less than what we're seeing currently. This one obviously around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one more recently, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Working on number 6. So yeah. Fuck you and send it higher. Never below 120,000 bucks. I mean, shit. My bags would like that. Yeah, you can actually paste screenshots to ChatGPT, or I'm assuming Claude as well. But what I like to do with the Quant Prime is I will go into the strategy tester, and you can actually export all of the trading data, and you can just fucking say figure it out. But you should really use the higher end models for that. Otherwise, like if you're using like the 4.0 for ChatGPT, it's not very precise with numbers. It's not very good with math type stuff in my experience. You really got to use the 0.3. And even then, I've heard that I've actually heard that Claude is much better for that sort of thing. So yeah. So yes, people will shit their pants if we get close to 70. I mean, people will shit their pants if we get close to 90 at this point. The market has just been consistently eating up any sort of short-term downside move, to the point where we haven't really seen like a real higher low. I mean, shit, like you could argue 94,000 or 93,500 bucks was it, but I'd even go all the way back here. I mean, these are like real identifiable trends down here with highs and lows. From there, I mean, it's basically been a straight shot up, man. Any sort of down day has been very quickly undone. At what price would you sell your Bitcoin? It's actually not a price that I'll sell my Bitcoin. It's a time, and my time horizon is at minimum 10 years from now. So I have no idea what the price will be, but I assume it will be higher. So yeah. But again, like my situation might be a little bit different. I'm not in need of liquidity from my investments. That's why I like to just kind of keep them there. Again, I'm thinking more as like a long-term investor. So, even though I think Bitcoin, will top, obviously before the next 10 years, I'm not going to sell, just because that has been my strategy, since late 2019 to early 2020, is just accumulate. And, what I've learned during that time, after, having a bit of a financial, literacy learning moment, is that it's the long term that really does compound those gains, and it really does help. And when I look at the long term versus my trading, this is where I kind of had the aha moment. It's like, okay, I traded actually these past couple cycles extremely well. It made a lot of money, but from 2020, right around here to where we're at right now, it's like that's 6,000 to 110,000. You can't out trade that. 1,700% gain. I haven't made that much trading like in that time frame. It's just fucking insane. of course, you don't need to choose one between the other, to be fair. And especially if you are starting off with a lower equity amount, like I was as well, trading makes a lot more sense because it can be more consistent, or it can be faster. But really, the idea is to kind of build up like a big nest egg and then let it become that rolling snowball avalanche that continues to get more and more and more and more and more strength just due to the time, component of holding it. That was one of the more humbling things that I experienced since about 2020. And during that time, I was reading a lot of books on financial literacy. I was listening to people on YouTube like Michael Saylor. Honestly, he's very, 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 very good and eye-opening and very helpful. I think that even just listening to him, you can probably get a pretty damn good financial education. And once you get that, I think you'll understand, just like I understood, the actual value proposition of Bitcoin and why it actually is really, really powerful. Whip Trade says, serious question, brother. You once said you were trying out Gronk. You used it much for what in comparisons between ChatGPT, looking to sub into one for journaling? Honestly, I find that ChatGPT is better in general. Grok is better for recent events. That's what it can do a lot better than ChatGPT. ChatGPT will not do well in that. But ChatGPT is... I think the context that you get from ChatGPT is better, and doesn't mean that Grok can't improve in the future. But as of right now, I have better experience with that. But both are pretty damn good, and I think you can even use Grok for free, anyways. Creatine monohydrate, I believe, is harder. Yeah, it is. And I'm starting to feel the shits build up in my stomach right now, too. So we might have to turn this off soon. We'll see. Crypto Clown World says Grok is better. IMO, my brother back tested my trading strategy on it and it confirmed it. Fair enough. I mean, I haven't really tried Grok for like trading stuff. I'm talking about like general AI use. But everyone has different opinions on these things. A lot of people seem to really love Claude for mathematics and coding, I believe it is. But I haven't really tried that one, to be honest. That's a strategy I do since Mashinsky fucked me. Yeah, man, he fucked a lot of people. I think that guy just went to jail for like a long time, too. Crazy. Huh? This guy created some fucking scam and he stole a bunch of money, basically. Just like the same story that you hear time and time again. Else is learning. Antipro says US market will be closed on Monday. So, that's right. It is Memorial Day. Oh shit, we should probably do a sale for that. Wait, it's Monday? Isn't it like the hold on. Is it Monday? Is Memorial Day on? Oh yeah, it's always on a Monday, but I guess it's not June 2nd this year. Well, whatever. I don't fucking know, man. You want creatine HCl? Okay. Why is that? It's easier to digest. If so, man, I'll definitely give it a go because I would love to do that, man. I do like using creatine. Like it's super, super useful, but it does cause some disaster pants issues in the morning. Anderson77 says, Jordy Vizaire, a macro guy, not really a pumper, thinks we hit a short squeeze on Bitcoin mainly because when we see weakness, too many will leverage short and the bigger traders will hammer them. Maybe. I mean, I think that's just like kind of a speculative opinion. There's not really much of a way to prove that, but it's possible, I guess. Yeah. Leanne says, I like your shift to aim towards longer term holding. I think, I'm glad to hear that, one. And then two, I think it makes more sense for where I'm at right now. And I think for the majority of people, you can be a successful long-term investor a lot easier than you can learn to trade short term in a shorter amount of time. So you can learn both, of course. But the path to mastery for a trader, a short-term trader, is going to be a lot longer than just learning how to long-term invest. At least that's my sort of takeaway for right now. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, easier to digest. Okay, awesome, Calamity. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I'm actually gonna go to the supplement store after this and see if they got it. That's also another bad thing about Europe. Very difficult to get supplements and shit like that. Yeah, like any supplements, like the pharmacy. You have to go to the fucking pharmacy here to get shit. No, it's not. In the US, you just walk into any old GNC store and talk to some fucking dumbass who has never studied anything, and he tells you that everything is right for you. That's how it works. Problem with Doggy is that is it infinite? I mean, I think that's most things. They have infinite supply. Infinite supplies. Yeah. Let's see. I'll read through a few more of these and then we'll probably call it a day. Yeah, all good whip trades, all good, man. Jeff Bilbin says, hey, man, sorry it's late to the stream. It's 4:40 a.m. here. Can you go over Fetch AI? Actually, sure, man. All right. Is it Fetch? Okay. Yeah, it's this thing. On a 4-hour time frame, huh? I like the uptrend. It can afford a pullback if it wants to like 83, 84 cents and still be a higher low, but I'd have to go to a time frame higher than a 4-hour to really see where things are at. And yeah, I read this one as basically about to enter into a consolidation between what is effectively the 200 symbol to the upside at like a buck. And you kind of just sold off on there from this morning and the lows of Monday this past week. So in the short term, you just tested the high side of the range. I think you come back down towards the middle of the range, maybe like 81, 82, 83 cents, try for a higher low there and then go for a real breakout attempt. But it does seem like a lot of things are kind of setting up for a bit of a short-term pullback here. What about Bitcoin, actually? Let's go over here to Bitcoin. Do we have any sort of, oh yeah, we do have some bearish divergences actually. And these are very, very close to being confirmed in fact as well. So Bitcoin should pull back here. But like I said, it's got to do some real damage to actually reverse the trend. It can afford a multi-$1,000 pullback, at least for right now. But I will hold off on saying I'm cautious just to not incite the fucking hate mob. Nikki Page, as always, massive thank you and all the best to you as well. You are a fucking legend, Anita Cho. Heard that dividing creatine half morning, half. Yeah, I've actually been doing that. It does help a little bit for sure. Absolutely. Do you use bit nodes? Actually, I have no idea what the hell that is, man. I'm guessing it's like a Bitcoin node or some shit like this. No, I don't run a Bitcoin node. I don't know how to. I've really never done any research into these things. That's outside of my wheelhouse, man. That's outside of my wheelhouse. That's the thing. Like once you learn something, you can't really veer too far off of it. It is what it is, man. Penis supplements? You mean dick pills? There's plenty of those things, man. Just go to like your local gas station and there'll be all kinds of things. I remember one time in America, I saw like the ant pill. It was like, I don't know, but it was supposed to make you like hard as fuck. And I don't know, it says that it has like ant parts in it that make you horny, but what it really has is Cialis. It's what it's actually tested to have. Most of those things actually have something like that. Fartcoin for Danny Khalifa. Yeah, we can look at Fartcoin really quick. Fartcoin, one of the best of this cycle, to be fair. So if anything's going to do well, it's probably this thing. Is it setting up for a pullback here? Definitely possible. If it does, if 144, 145 is fair enough. But, just like the rest of them, you got higher lows the whole way through. It's like this thing literally just only goes up. It's actually insane. It's actually fucking insane. But I do think short term, you're going to see pullbacks kind of across the board. This thing, like I said, could come down to like mid or low 140s and doesn't really mean all that much. I mean, shit, long term, as long as you're above this last local low, I mean, the price action pivot is so fucking far away from current price action that it's unrelatable, but it does matter, is 115 or so. So as long as you're above there, I mean, it's not really like super problematic or nothing like that. But my point is you can afford a pullback here and still remain with your overall uptrend. Ho, ho, ho. What's up, Two Thumbs? Yo, 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 pimps and simps. Yes, we need more pimps and we need more simps as well. Hey, all good, Remco. Yeah, man, I've actually been eating something right before it as well. That seems to help a little bit, but still, I feel it, man. I feel it. Anyways, yeah, Fartcoin, that goes only up, makes me wonder. That coin seems useless, but the price makes you think that it is not. I mean, that's always the illusion every cycle. You got your shitcoins that do shit like this. But my theory is that it really does seem like there's a fucking cabal of influencers behind this thing, pumping it up. But I have no proof. Or nothing like that. So I'll put it like that. Calamity says Turkestra. Oh, I remember when that was very popular as well. Turned out it wasn't actually that effective. Can AVAX make me rich? I mean, If you start off super rich and then you hold a shitcoin like this, then maybe. But let's see. Maybe I shouldn't judge it first. You do have that daily uptrend going on. The weekly looks like it wants to break through as well. I do think that you will get an extension to like 28.5 bucks. Does it pull back in the short term with the rest of the market? Maybe. If it does, somewhere around 23.5 bullish and holds the uptrend as long as you're above about 22. Weekly, I do think has a real potential to engulf the last weekly dildo. And if it does that, I think you're going to see like 35-ish. See what the very high term time frames say. I don't like these charts on the higher term time frames though. We've seen many of these charts today. And shit, I mean, if you're a bear, then the quarterly tells you, hey, that should be the high of the rally. But I don't know. I feel like you got to give things the benefit of the doubt in the short term here. Maybe after a short term pullback, but yeah, fair enough. Testosterone and Anavar, very powerful combination. Also testosterone and trenbolone. Tranny-bolone. Yeah, very effective as well. Hey, Krown, I'm Rutches from Twitch. Oh, fuck yeah, man. Yeah, awesome. Glad to have you over here on YouTube as well. Santa's bags are bulging with anticipation. All right, guys. Mr. Matthew Speed, much love to you as well, sir. All right. All good, man. All good. Shroom and testosterone milkshake. I love it, man. All right. All right. Anita Cho says, my dad keeps saying how wealthy people know how to skip tax. I just found a new way to skip tax. I mean, honestly, like, it's not that you're skipping tax. Like, if you actually learn the tax code, you learn that the US government will effectively reward people for investing or doing things that they basically want them to do by, effectively giving them no tax. I mean, that's, lower taxes is what essentially increases innovation as well as lower regulations as well. So yeah. All right, we'll do the last one for RVXA. It's going to be Ondo. Ondo Derpo. Not the most impressive shitcoin, but also not terrible. It doesn't have that nasty prior cycles, just down only because it's only been around since 2024. And it does have a higher low from the March dumpola to the September of last year dumpola. So, definitely a cut above the average shitcoin, that's for sure. If you can just trade back above last week's high, I think that this thing will go on like a real run towards 1.25 to 130-ish region. But everything really relies on the monthly here for me. It does have a higher low. It does have a higher high. It's in an uptrend. So technically this is bullish. But I really want to see it prove itself like in the short term, meaning actually would not expect, like if this thing's going to be bullish, I would not expect it to pull back below like 90 cents or below the price action pivot here, which is 88.5. Very, very close there. But yeah, I'd be expecting basically an extension of this move like sooner rather than later. And if it can get back above last week's high, I think you got a nice move up towards like the mid 130s ish, maybe even a test towards the prior all-time. I mean, it is an uptrend after all, but I am, as always, very cautious when it comes to the old shitcoins here. All right, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you on this nice little Friday morning. I'm going to head off to do some of the daily chores, and just want to say thanks for joining in as always. It's been a nice, fun time, and we'll do it again soon. With that said, take care, much love.